Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're essentially decoding the invisible architecture of human behavior. We're unpacking the deep science and psychology behind Charles Duhigg's truly groundbreaking work, The Power of Habit. We're going to look at exactly how our habits form, how they secretly pull the strings in almost every aspect of our lives, and most importantly, the exact science-backed method for changing them. So buckle up, because we're moving fast and diving deep into the literal machinery of your mind. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the single mind-bending number, 40%. According to the research, over 40% of the actions you take every single day, they aren't actual decisions. I mean, you might feel like you're consciously choosing what to do, but you actually aren't. Nearly half of your daily life is run entirely on autopilot by your habits. Just think about that for a second. Almost half of your waking day is completely 100% automated. So here is our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the invisible autopilot, then we'll unpack the habit loop, reveal the golden rule of habit change, explore Keystone Habits, and finally show you how to master your destiny. All right, Section 1, the invisible autopilot. Look, whether you're a student pulling all-nighters, a professional trying to climb the corporate ladder, or a business owner managing a whole team, understanding this invisible autopilot is absolutely crucial. It's the fundamental key to transforming your life. So what actually is a habit? Well, neurologically speaking, a habit is simply an automatic loop that controls your behavior. It's an action or maybe a series of actions, triggered without any conscious thought required on your part. Your brain essentially goes into power-saving mode, just totally handing the steering wheel over to this pre-programmed loop. And hey, this power-saving mode is brilliant for efficiency, but it's incredibly dangerous if the habit is actually holding you back. Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds, unpacking the habit loop. If we really want to change our behavior, we have to look under the hood and understand exactly how this engine works. Charles Duhigg's research reveals that every single habit follows a very specific neurological loop, and it's made up of three main parts. 1, the cue, 2, the routine, and 3, the reward. So the crucial point is that a specific cue always triggers an automatic routine, all in pursuit of securing a highly anticipated reward. You literally cannot separate these three elements if you want to understand your own behavior. It's the whole shebang. Let's zoom in on that first part, the cue. The cue is the trigger. It's the thing that instantly flips your brain into autopilot mode. It tells your brain exactly which habit to deploy. And cues can be almost anything in your environment. It could be a specific time, like exactly 8 a.m. It could be a specific location, like, sitting down at your office desk. But actually, often it's an emotional state, like feeling stressed or intensely bored, or even being around a specific person. Think about it. Maybe you bite your nails the absolute second you feel stressed, or you mindlessly check your phone the very moment you open your eyes in the morning. Those triggers right there, those are your cues. Then, after you perform the routine, you get the payoff, the reward. The reward is that specific feeling that tells your brain, hey, this was great. We need to remember this loop for the future. Whether it's a few minutes of mindless entertainment, a feeling of deep relaxation, or just an immediate sugar rush, this reward releases dopamine in your brain. And that dopamine hit, it literally wires your brain to repeat the entire cycle the next time that same cue appears. It's like a built-in reinforcement system. Moving right along to Section 3, the golden rule. Okay, we've reached the most powerful intervention in this entire framework. The hard truth is this: you cannot simply erase a bad habit. It just doesn't work that way. You must replace it. And this brilliantly illustrates the golden rule in action. Let's say you've got a bad habit of eating sugary junk food every single afternoon. We've all been there, right? The old habit loop goes exactly like this. The cue is 3 p.m. rolling around and you're feeling kind of bored or tired at work. The routine is walking to the break room and grabbing a chocolate cookie. And the reward is a quick spike in energy and, getting a social break with your colleagues. To change this, the golden rule says you must keep the cue and the reward exactly the same, but swap out the routine. So your new habit looks like this. At 3 p.m., when you feel bored, bam, that's your same cue. You instead eat an apple or drink a cup of green tea. That's your new routine. But you still take those 5 minutes to chat with your colleagues to get that energy and social break, which is your exact same reward. Over time, your brain accepts this new routine because, hey, it still gets the reward it's craving. Real game changer, right? Which brings us to Section 4, Keystone Habits and Willpower. Changing one habit is incredibly powerful, for sure. But how do we scale this up? To see how individual habit changes can actually ripple out to affect our entire lives, we first need to address a massive misunderstanding: willpower depletion. Listen, willpower is not some static skill you either have or you don't. It is exactly like a muscle. And just like a muscle, if you use it too much, it gets completely exhausted. If you deplete your willpower early in the day, say by using all your mental energy just to force yourself to choose a healthy breakfast, well, by the time evening rolls around, that muscle is totally fried, and your chances of caving and eating a whole pizza skyrocket. This is exactly why highly successful people do not rely on brute willpower. No way. Instead, they build automatic routines and systems so they don't have to constantly flex that willpower muscle. And this is exactly where Keystone Habits come in. You don't need to overhaul your entire life all at once. Actually, scratch that. You shouldn't try to overhaul everything at once. You just need to focus on one single keystone habit. A keystone habit is like a foundational habit that naturally influences and reshapes all your other habits, creating this massive chain reaction. Take daily exercise, for example. Research shows that people who simply start exercising daily, they automatically start eating healthier, their productivity naturally increases, their daily focus improves, and their stress levels drop significantly. Another famous example is simply making your bed every morning. That one tiny small win sets a structural tone of productivity for your entire day. Now, let's zoom out a bit, because this doesn't just apply to individuals. It applies to massive organizations too. Yep, companies have habits. Our explainer source highlights the giant aluminum manufacturer Alcoa. When CEO Paul O'Neill took over, the company was really struggling. But here's the crazy part. He didn't focus on profits or revenue. He focused entirely on one single keystone habit: worker safety. That's it. By obsessively focusing on improving safety, it forced the entire company to fix its manufacturing processes and dramatically improve internal communication. And the ripple effect? It was absolutely astounding. By fixing this one keystone habit, Alcoa automatically solved countless other underlying problems and transformed into one of the most profitable companies in the world. Now, here is a somewhat counterintuitive secret from the research. Times of crisis or major life shifts are actually your greatest opportunities to establish good routines. Whether it's taking on a new job, moving to a new city, getting married, or honestly, even experiencing a tragedy, these major shifts naturally disrupt and break your old habit loops. The whole system gets a shock. Your brain is momentarily knocked right off autopilot, making it the absolute easiest, most opportunistic time to consciously establish new positive habits. Section 5. Master your destiny. We've reached the climax of our journey today. We've taken apart the machinery of human behavior, and now it is time to put your hands firmly on the steering wheel of your own life. The core message I want you to take away is this: awareness is the first step to change. When you know how your habit works, the control is in your hands. By simply understanding that your life is driven by these loops, by taking the time to identify your specific cues and your specific rewards, you're no longer just a passenger. You are the architect. You have the total power to dismantle the bad loops and consciously engineer new, empowering ones. So I want to leave you with this final provocative question. What single habit loop will you analyze and change today? Remember, don't try to change 50 things tomorrow morning. Pick just one routine. Identify the cue, identify the reward, and apply that golden rule. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. The tools are literally right there in your hands, so start taking control of your loops today.